Hello, my name is Frank Mixon. I'm a faculty member in the English department and the SLO coordinator at Cerritos College. I had the pleasure of working with faculty members from the Political Science and Cosmetology departments to explore the efficacy of the DQP outcomes in assessing institutional and degree outcomes. Cerritos College used the DQP to explore two important questions. How do our GE and institutional SLOs align to the DQP? And how do career degree programs and transfer degree programs align to the DQP? We began by aligning our GE and institutional SLOs to the DQP. So you can better understand the alignment process, let me explain how Cerritos College has organized its institutional and program SLOs. We have 4 institutional competencies that we wish all students, whether they receive a certificate or degree or transfer, to achieve. These are independent learner, personal responsibility, global awareness, and civic responsibility. We also have 4 GE competencies that we wish all degree and transfer students to achieve. These are critical thinking, oral and written communication, quantitative reasoning, and breadth of knowledge, which includes fine arts and humanities, behavioral and social sciences, and physical and natural sciences. Finally, we have 4 CTE competencies that we wish all certificate students to achieve. These, however, we did not include in our alignment process. Instead, we focused on our GE and institutional competencies. As you can see from this table, our GE and institutional competencies align nicely to the DQP. Ostensibly, there is a one-to-one match with the DQP, including our +1 competency, which we have defined as personal responsibility. I say ostensibly because the competencies are similar, but the specific outcomes are not. For instance, in the area of applied learning, Cerritos College focuses on college skills rather than applying academic learning to work experience, and vice versa. Also, in the area of use of information resources, the college distributes the outcomes across the critical thinking and oral and written communication competencies rather than identifying information resources as a specific competency. Finally, in the area of broad, integrative knowledge, the college is broad. It is not, however, integrative. As a result of this analysis, we have concluded that we need to revise some of our competencies in order to fully align with the DQP. For the next step of our project, we wanted to see how well department courses align to the 5 key areas of the DQP: intellectual skills, applied learning, broad integrative knowledge, civic learning, and engaging diverse perspectives. We chose political science as our transfer AA program and cosmetology as our career AA program. This slide shows the results of mapping political science courses to the DQP. What becomes readily apparent in this grid is that the political science courses cover some of the outcomes well and leaves others untouched. The next slide shows the mapping of the cosmetology courses to the DQP. This reveals even more stark gaps in addressing the outcomes. What we learned from the mapping is that certain areas of the DQP are not being addressed. For instance, we learned that political science and cosmetology do not adequately address civic learning. This was particularly revealing because one would imagine that political science would address civic learning in depth. We also learned that political science and cosmetology do not address communication fluency, and that they do not address quantitative fluency. Finally, we learned that cosmetology does not address engaging diverse perspectives, another surprise given the nature of the industry. Finally, in an attempt to fill these gaps, the faculty created pathways with general education courses that would address the DQP outcomes and complement the major. Here are some examples from the various GE categories. They selected courses from anthropology and psychology, from biology and geography, and humanities and philosophy. The results of these pathways are, however, a bit mixed. This grid is the mapping of the political science pathway. As you can see, the pathway addresses a substantial number of the outcomes, but there does still remain some open spaces. This next grid is the mapping of the cosmetology pathway. As you can see here, the pathway still does not address a significant number of the outcomes. To make sure their students achieve these necessary competencies, the cosmetology department will need to revise its pathway. Even with the pathway, not all DQP outcomes are adequately addressed. For instance, the political science pathway does not adequately address the assembling evidence outcome under broad integrative knowledge, nor does it adequately address the active role outcome under civic learning. Moreover, the cosmetology pathway does not adequately address broad integrative knowledge as a whole, nor does it address civic learning as a whole. Based on this alignment process, we came to the following conclusions regarding the DQP. The DQP is useful in detecting gaps in institutional and general education SLOs. The DQP is useful in constructing meaningful pathways in which general education requirements complement major requirements. The DQP is useful in assessing the quality of degree and certificate SLOs. Thank you for your time and your attention.